Lighting up? That's where we are exactly. That's where we are exactly. Right there. And that creed is right there, but wait a minute. We have a ceiling here. Okay, my beautiful people, there's an explanation to this. After the Spanish-American War in 1898, the San Cristobal Fort, as well as the San Felipe del Morro Fort, which is the fort that you saw on the way into the San Juan Bay, to the left, both forts became Fort Brooke, one base for the U.S. Armed Forces, became Fort Brooke. And during World War II, the U.S. Army in the 1938, 1939, they built this bunker. So they used the chunk of the Fort Ravine right there, of a trench right there, to build the 3 feet thick ceiling that we have above us. And from the northern walls, and also northern walls from here and there, the U.S. Armed Forces built square sentry boxes to add sentry posts facing the Atlantic during World War II. Meanwhile, the Navy were surveying with their submarines in the north coast of the fort. My friends, this is the diorama of the San Cristobal Fort and how it looked like until 1897. In 1897, my friends, this whole area from the Black Pyramid, this little pyramid here, facing all the way south, reaching the former San Francis Bastion right here, and from there was another wall parallel to the port side going west. That huge corner was demolished in 1897 in order for the city of San Juan to grow and expand. Where exactly is located this triangular bastion is where the former Casino Puerto Rico across the street is located. The citadel of the old San Juan historical site, when it was completely surrounded by walls, it had only 6 gates that gave access inside the citadel. From the area that's lit up by my cell phone are located 2 of those gates that are now non-existent. The one that follows the trail to the triangular bastion there, the Prince Gate, and from the Prince Gate continues to the second gate that it was known as the Santiago Gate, La Puerta de Santiago. Santiago was in St. James, by the way. So, where the pyramid is where the outside wall on our right from here getting out from the bunker is located. So yes, from there going south, all of that was demolished. But then the next year, 1898, the Spanish-American War exploded. How did it start? How the Spanish-American War started? After the implosion of the USS Maine, a Navy vessel anchored at the northern coast of Cuba, the Navy blamed a Spanish spy. There's no evidence of it. There's no evidence of it. But anyway, we already knew that the United States wanted to take over Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico is located in the very center of the Atlantic, geographically and strategically located facing back north, central, South America, and back to Europe and Africa. A perfect spot for surveillance. So, the Navy sent 2 vessels, anchoring on the northern coast of the fort. And it was late at night. And those two Navy vessels, they didn't have a flag to identify them as it is required. So they tried to come stealthily. The Spanish soldiers stationed on the northern walls, noticing the two vessels, that as many attempts by the Spanish army for them to try to identify couldn't achieve that task, well, they have to recur to the rules of engagement. So my friends, in the Army, for example, you know what I'm talking about. In the combat rules of engagement, you have to refer, for example, on the first shot, that is the warning shot. So the Spanish soldiers, they fired a warning shot from the northern wall. And they fired the cannonball. Yes, cannonballs. The thing about the Spanish army back then in the late 19th century, they were militarily outdated. So militarily speaking, the ordnance, the weaponry, and so on was so outdated. Obviously, the U.S. Armed Forces and the Navy, in this case, they were very advanced. They already had vapor engines vessels. And they have better cannons, better ordnance. So, when the Spanish fired the warning shot from the northern wall, well, it was supposed to just be fired and then splash in the ocean. Right? Here is when keeping it real went wrong. The first shot, when it was fired, instead of splashing and sinking the ocean, it bounced. Oh. And the second splash was actually interpreted by the enemy as the second shot, retaliation. So that gave him the cue to fire back the old San Juan and bombard us and almost annihilating the whole place. Even so, that until this day, in the 21st century, was found ordnance fired by those two vessels found way inside inland in Bayamon City and in the St. Patrick's Forest at Guaynabo City, just across the San Juan Bay, my friends. Just across the San Juan Bay. And then the Spanish-American War didn't last no more than 6 months. And then on December the 12th, 1898, during the Paris Treaty, Spain was forced to yield the territories of the Philippines, Juan, and Puerto Rico to the United States. Why the Philippines? Because the United States needed a territory in the Pacific so they could make business with Japan. Eventually, they were left as an independent republic. But Guam and Puerto Rico are still U.S. territories. All right? So that's how we became a U.S. territory, my friends. All righty? And until this day, we are a U.S. territory, not a federal state, not an independent republic. Okay? So, my friends, having that in context, let's move to the next room so that we can go upstairs.